welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives. And my next guest is the one and only Judy Gold. Judy was the first gay stand-up that I discovered back in around 1994. She still regularly performs all over New York and on tour. Sandra Bernhard has famously named her as her #1 guest on her SiriusXM show. I've loved her forever. Hi, Judy Gold.
Hi, Jess. Wow, that's a nice intro. I'm so glad you didn't go on Wiki. And, I do so many podcasts. You're a podcaster. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're just like, be creative with your, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so many people are just, let me take the easy way out. And, and I love that intro. So I appreciate what you picked to say.
Thank you. Well, it's all like very personal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, first of all, little peek behind the curtain. Mm-hmm. You just play tennis. You're in Provincetown right now. You just play tennis. Yeah. And when we hopped on Zoom, you immediately had, what would we call that? A little mini freak out about your appearance. And like you changed your glasses and like you shook out your hair.
Yeah. So I looked at I just got off the tennis court and I clipped up my, first of all, that's not true. I said to you, are you using video? And you're like, well, I'm going to, so I said, all right, well, let me just fix my hair and put on my other glasses. I mean, seriously, that was you should be in the media. No, I just wanted to make sure, for the clips, I don't look like a big slob. I don't care.
I want to say something. And obviously, I've been following your career since around 94, 95, when I saw your first HBO special. And I've seen you every year in Provincetown. I've seen you at the Comedy Cellar. Like anywhere you've performed, pretty much yearly, I've seen you. Your hair has never looked better. Like, what have you done to your hair? And your body, I feel, has transformed. Even if you watch the outstanding Netflix special, I interviewed Paige.
Oh my God, I was 50 pounds heavier in that.
So I want to talk about this because it seems like you've transformed your physical appearance. I mean, not only like the hair, like everything is sort of.
Well, okay, so let's start with the hair. The hair, I just said I want something like funky. I want to, my hair's curly. It's thin curly. I mean, I have a lot of hair, but it's not like thick hair. So I don't know. I was just like, I'm sick of I just wanted something funky. So I got funky, and my colorist I love, she blonded it out. Mm-hmm. And I have a thyroid condition. I'm postmenopausal. I'm on an antidepressant, and I got so fat. And it was like, but Jess, I've always worked out, even at my fattest. I've worked out 5 times a week, lifted weights, like always. I've always been doing that. And I couldn't lose weight at all. So she put me on the Ozempic, and then my insurance company would not pay for it. So I was off the Ozempic. But that got me started. That got me started losing weight. And also, when you're on those drugs, you have to eat all your vegetables first, and then your protein, and then your carbs. So I kind of changed the way I ate so that I was filling up on vegetables and protein. And by the time I got to the carbs, I wasn't really hungry. And then I got my knee replaced, and I couldn't be on anything. And then I went on the Mounjaro and lost the rest of it. And now I'm on a maintenance thing. But I think it's because I've always worked out. Oh, and I had my I had my second knee replaced. I think that I'm so much more not in pain when I'm moving. I'm so much more mobile. I think I just feel better. I hadn't straightened my left leg in 10 years at least. I couldn't straighten it. It was just, so I don't know. I feel really good. I feel like I'm 61 and I feel great finally. I mean, all through my 50s, I was in pain. Mm-hmm. It was, and my body was off balance because my knee was bent, and it was just like, I just feel better.
Did you have any any negative side effects or weird side effects from the Ozempic or Mounjaro?
No, it was like so slow. We started on a really low dose, and we were on that forever. And then, I have a really good doctor. I mean, I'm a Jew with the thyroid condition, and like, it's just, everything is against you. So I'm all for this. I feel so much better. I didn't abuse it. It took me like 2 years. I mean, I hear people like, oh, I want to lose, 8 pounds because my cousin's getting married. So, it's just like, that's why my insurance wouldn't cover, because you people are, abusing this. So that kind of thing, I don't agree with. But, if it's 50 pounds, like I was, I didn't, I was real. And, you're tall, so you can hide it. But I felt bloated. I didn't feel like myself. And I was always sort of this weight my whole life. And then boom, I got like fat. I hate it.
I love that you mentioned that you did just get back from playing tennis, and you're actually on the board of the Provincetown Tennis Club.
Yes.
And I was looking at the website last night. Your title is Governor at Large.
Yes, I'm Governor at Large. Governor at Large.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It just means that I'm on the board, and I'm actually Jess, which is so annoying and ridiculous. I'm in charge of the Rules and Regulations Committee. I am in trouble all the time for screaming and throwing my racket. I'm getting yelled at by the president. I have no frustration tolerance, but I am in charge. It's just so funny that I'm in charge of rules and regulations, and everyone complains about me, but I do know what's fair. But yeah, like I swore everyone in. I've just been a member for real. Elisa, my lover, is the secretary and wants to kill me for recruiting her secretary because it's like a fucking full-time job. But there's a lot of drama at the Provincetown Tennis Club. Yeah, it's, but we've met so many people, and I play doubles. I used to play singles, and I can't play singles anymore because of my knees, but I'm so much better this year because I can move. Everyone's like, but yeah, I'm Governor at Large, and I swore all the new board members in with a funny swearing in thing.
Now, you've been in Provincetown. What was the first year that you ever...
92 was the first year that I ever performed here.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to come on vacation. And one summer we came on vacation, and the Funny Gay Males were performing at the post office cabaret, which was owned by Phyllis Schlossberg, very well-known Provincetown character. And I went to see them, and I became best friends with Bob Smith, who after I saw him perform, I was like, I want to perform here. Mm-hmm. And in 1994, I got my first job, big TV job. I was on a series, All American Girl with Margaret Cho. Yeah. And I took the money and I bought a house here. And so that's why I have a house here. And for the years since, when I was almost bankrupt and I had nothing, people are like, sell the house. And I'm like, I'm never selling that house. And then the pandemic came, and everyone's like, thank God you never sold the house. So thank God I kept this house. And I now have an arrangement where I do like a residency at the post office cabaret. And I work 3 nights a week. I do an hour show. I work on new material. I sort of put together an act for the summer with a name and everything. And it's so great. And I get to play tennis and write. And I'm here a lot. I write a lot here. It's so like dead in February and March. So it's great to come up and write and cook and sit and light a fire. So I just love it here. I love it here.
The name of this show is Your Mom's Not Funny. And
right.
I saw the show when I was there, like 2 days before I ran into you at the Petite Brewing Company. I had come, of course, I'm going to see Judy Gold. I come every year. And it's called Your Mom's Not Funny because this is basically something that your son's friend said to him.
Not his friend. It was he plays college basketball. So the opposing team, they were playing Tufts University, and one of the fans on the Tufts side, as Ben was about to shoot a foul shot, screams out, "Your mom's not funny." And then Ben, of course, made the foul shot. But I thought it was the funniest fucking thing. And the kid was taunting me and taunting Ben because Ben was making, he had so many points. And I was like, that is hilarious. But they Google the players, and they're just so mean. College basketball fans are such bullies. And I can't believe it. But yeah, that one, I was like, that is going in my act. And then I named my show after him. Okay, so thank you, Tufts fan asshole.
So the boys are like fully out of the house, right? Like your apartment in the city?
Well, Well, no, Ben comes back. He's now at Binghamton and he's playing basketball at SUNY Binghamton. And he's getting a master's degree. So when he comes home to my apartment, and Henry lives in Harlem.
Okay. Because I know that you've had the same rent stabilized apartment that you've talked a lot of shit about. Like you've had this apartment for years and years, and then thing is
1989.
Wow. How did you first get that apartment?
Well, I was living on first. I lived with an opera singer on West 81st Street, 1984, I think to 85 ish. And it was the basement of a brownstone, but he had a baby grand piano, and I loved. He was traveling all the time, so it was great. Except his cat used to bring in fucking dead birds and pigeons, and I'm like, this is disgusting. And he's like, it's because the cat likes you. I'm like, I don't want fucking dead birds in my room. Anyway, and that was 84, 85. The Upper West Side wasn't the Upper West Side. It was like, not good. And then I moved to West 98th Street with my ex. And we had like a studio. It was like a studio one. It was like this one big room, but it was separated by French doors. So there was a bedroom and then a living room and kitchen, whatever. And then we found this apartment because some of my college friends were living in the building. And we thought it was gigantic. And it was, I think, $800 a month in 1986 or 89, sorry. 1989. And I never fucking I can't believe it was, you move somewhere, you're like, this is temporary. And I didn't leave because that building is like a kibbutz, and we became so close with our neighbors. They're actually Cy just died, but he's the kid's godfather, and Marjorie's this kid's godmother. And the kids, we would go in and out of all these apartments, and it was a village. And when we had an opportunity to move to like this 5-bedroom apartment on the same block, and we thought it was so fucking expensive. It was so not expensive. But
wait, 5 bedrooms? Yeah,
it was like 4 or 5 bedrooms, and we didn't move to it because it was expensive, and then we broke up right after. Mm-hmm. So I could not have brought the kids up without the help of that building. I mean, it really, 1 bathroom, 2 bedrooms, no dining room. But we have a kitchen big enough for a table, but still, it's not what I had anticipated. But emotionally, it's.
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's like stuff you read about. They've done a couple articles about our building. I mean, so many kids. It was amazing. It was amazing upbringing for the kids. And it's, Upper West Side between Riverside Park and Central Park.
Gorgeous. I really want to get into the story of your first date with Elisa and the context under which you met. But before we get there, since we're talking about the apartment, do you still, after you've been together, what, almost 20 years now?
Elisa and I, 17 and a half years.
Okay, 17 and a half years. Do you still not live together?
Still don't live together. We live together here in Provincetown. Mm-hmm. She bought half the house and we're now going to renovate it. So this is sort of our home. And she lives in Harlem and I live on the Upper West Side.
Will you eventually move to the Harlem apartment?
No, I don't. I mean,
wow.
It's just, first of all, I know a bunch of people who are married and don't live together. I worked with someone, when we worked together, which was maybe 10 years ago. He was with his partner for 37 years. So now it's probably 47 years. And one lived in apartment 4A and one lived in apartment 5A. And, there's not a lot of space in New York. We have opposite schedules. My apartment is now my office, but, we spend time in both places. But it's so nice to say, bye-bye now, take care. I don't think it's unhealthy.
Yeah,
I think space is good.
But don't you spend the night in one or the other?
No, we don't spend every night together. See, maybe 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Yeah. I don't know.
So I guess I can imagine this. I mean, I guess I can really imagine. Maybe that is actually the total New York dream. But also a lot of couples where the kids are out of the house, they now sleep in separate bedrooms. That's very
all the time. That is very common. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people sleep in separate bedrooms. And also there's so many times where, we'll have dinner together and then at least I'll go back to Harlem, and I'll go out and do a set. It's just, why do you need to be on top of each other? Unless you're in a huge house, like, do you really need to be on fucking top of each other all the time? And she works up in Westchester, so she drives. She has a garage in her, in her building where she just like could go into the garage and then go up to her apartment like a normal human being. And it's nice. I mean, we have holidays at her place because there's a bigger dining area. I don't know. It is what it is.
Now, when we were chatting briefly the other week, I told you how I made this documentary on the history of Fire Island, and you were saying that people who come to Provincetown should be given like a pamphlet or something about the history, just so they have some sort of reverence for.
Oh my God,
what makes
Jess,
this place special?
I remember talking about that with you. I have seen. So I bought this house in 1994, which is what, 30 years ago? Is that 30 years? Yeah, 30 years ago. But I've been coming here for about 39 years. And this was a haven for outsiders, for mostly the LGBT community. But also I've heard from, people have written to me like mixed race couples were like, that was the only place we could vacation without people like judging us. And it had a lot of artists, Robert Motherwell lived here, John Waters lives here. Books have been written here. It's really an artist's haven. And it was it's the tip of the Cape Cod. It is the most beautiful place. And if you go through the history of gays, we're always on the edge of town or away from the mainstream, but we make it our own. We make it our own.
I mean, look at Fire Island. Couldn't be more remote. Yeah.
The thing about Provincetown that I think a lot of people don't understand, and as I said, I say this in my act, is that when I came here for a couple of weeks in the 80s, on a vacation or something, and then I went back to New York, I had to remind myself, oh, right, we're not in Providence. Not everyone's gay. Like, you could be, first of all, affectionate. Straight people felt what it was like to be a gay person, because we would all, for some of these people, it was the only time they could show affection to their partner in public for 1 week of the year. Heron Cove was a beach where it was just gay people and their allies. And it was like so magical. It was like, look at this beautiful place we have. And no one's bothering us and we can be free. And so much art and culture and history. And you see these day trippers and these people who are on cruise ships that stop here and then walk down the street and have no reverence for the history. They see a drag queen. They're like, oh, let me take a picture with the drag. Like, they have no idea that this is our culture, that, these drag queens have created their people. They've created these personalities that come back year after year. The performance art, the visual art, and food, and the pilgrims landed here, and the Portuguese fishermen, and and to walk down here like it's some fucking freak show for the straight people. It's I can't tell you. And they act so I think, I don't know if you think this, Jess, but there's a sense of entitlement in the young gay community because they grew up with equality. They did not live through the AIDS crisis, which was hell. I mean, I was here through the AIDS crisis. That's another fucking history lesson here.
Well, tell me, can you talk about that a little?
I mean, you'd walk down the street, you'd come in the summer, and then you'd come the next summer, and you'd see the stores that shut down because the owner died. You'd see the restaurants that were closed because the owner died. It was sad. It was gut-wrenching. The AIDS crisis, I mean, talk about a documentary about how the lesbians and gay men were no longer lesbians and gay men. It was like we came and without question saved a lot of we were there. We were very supportive. And so when I see this split in the community now and these, I'm this, I'm not that, it's like, you know what? We're all our history. You would walk down the street and be like, oh no, not him. It was, but still. And then you realize the resilience. And the shows still went on, and the comedy still went on, and the edginess, and we are such fighters and survivors. The gay community in a way reminds me of the Jewish community in a way, and they mirror each other a lot. But yeah.
Aside from the town assimilating, or how else has it changed? Like I interviewed Ryan Landry the other week, and he was saying how really it was all about like sex and drugs in the 80s when he first arrived, or he arrived in 79.
Definitely for the men. Yes, absolutely.
Men. So how, maybe for the women, or what did you observe? Like,
that's interesting because yes, it was, it was like, oh, we're going to go to the dick doc, or but for the women, it was affordable. What's happened now with this assimilation and these fucking articles, there was just an article in the New York Times, 36 hours in Provincetown. Here's where you go. Fuck you. You don't know Provincetown in 36 hours.
Can I tell you something?
What?
That article, I sent it to friends and I was like, congratulations. This is the most heterosexual take on Provincetown I have ever seen in my entire life.
Right. It's so infuriating. But yes, I think it was a lot sex and drugs for the men. For the women, Women's Week started in 1984. It's going to have its 40th year this year in October. Women owned homes. Now we have very wealthy gay men buying not only their second homes, or, people are buying third homes here and fourth homes here. And when that happens, they're not integrated into the community. It is just an investment for them. But it wasn't like that. It was not like that. And the women, it's unaffordable at this point. When I bought this house, I could go on my roof deck and see the sunset. And now there's so many buildings. They built up so much shit. I can't see the sunset anymore. They have built on the past, 15 years. I'm like, oh my God, that not even that is sacred enough to keep. And the beach, I'm at the beach. I did Shabbat at the beach this past Friday and the Friday before. And I don't hate straight people. I mean, my kids are straight.
Yeah.
But I hate people who get your fucking tent and your shitty music. It was a gay culture ruled here. And now it's like, and not only are they, and my kids are, but they're, they're part of the gay community, but, not only are they here, these people, they just take over. Like it's, I got in a fight with a fucking guy driving a car on Commercial Street. And I'm riding my bike and he wouldn't stop to let me go. And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I chased him down and screamed at him. I was fucking like, who the fuck this is not how we behave here. Who the fuck do you think you are? And then, of course, I scream at this guy and I turn around and there's this husband and wife standing there. And they're like, are you Judy? And I said, yeah. And they're like, you performed at a synagogue on Long Island. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just fucking cursing at this guy in the middle of the street. But that is what angers me. It's like, we don't behave like that here.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about I want to talk about how you met your partner, Elisa. So.
Oh yeah, right.
So the year that this happened, was this like 2007? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm from Long Island. Where was I in 2007? I don't know, but I definitely subscribed to Time Out New York.
Time Out New York, yeah.
And I remember reading this Valentine's issue where they had New York's most eligible singles, and you're one of the eligible singles. Elisa wrote in, and ultimately that's how you met. I guess if you can just talk about, I know you were in I wanted to talk about gay divorce and does everybody just get divorced? Is it just really I guess let's maybe start there. So
Okay.
you were in this 20-year relationship, the partner with whom you had your 2 sons.
Right, Sharon. Yep.
And does everybody get divorced?
I think a lot of people get divorced. Straight, gay. Relationships are so hard, especially when you enter them when you're 22 years old. And, I was 22. I hadn't even really begun my career, like I had started doing stand up when I was 19, but, by 22, I had just moved to the city. I was taking acting classes. I was trying to, do stand up. I had a regular job. It was a different time, but you're a baby. Think back. And, we got in this relationship and it worked it wasn't the most passionate after a while, but it worked. She was on a trajectory for her career. I was on a trajectory for, with my career. We're very into our careers, which were completely different. And then we had a baby and she said, you can either live in New York or we can raise the kid in New York or LA, but you have to pick. And I was on a roll in LA, like, one series, then I did another series. I did an HBO special. I was like, I don't want to raise my child in Los Angeles because I was only there for work. And my whole family was on the East Coast. And my mother grew up in Manhattan, was like, oh, I wish I could have, brought you kids up in Manhattan instead of New Jersey. And that was my dream, is if I ever had kids, we would be in New York. So I came back to New York. And but yeah, people get divorced, and gay same-sex couples have the same fucking issues as opposite-sex couples. And it happens. I do think, though, I don't know, we could do research on this, but we get along. My ex is remarried and has 3-year-old twins. My kids love the twins. We do holidays together.
Well, that's the culture, is the gays, or particularly like the lesbians, they then become best friends.
Right. I wouldn't say we're best friends, but I would say that Elisa, who I met through, Time Out New York, and we had our date at Joe Allen's after one of my shows. Elisa really facilitated this, because at that time, about 2007, I couldn't stand Sharon. I didn't want to be, there was so much, acrimony. And Elisa sort of facilitated this idea that this is going to work better when everyone gets along. And I have to thank her for that. Now I like Sharon better than Elisa. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so Elisa really was all into everyone getting along, and it definitely helped with the kids. And I remember we would go to like Henry's baseball games or Ben's basketball games, and people would be like, wait, you're all sitting together? And, like my parents wouldn't even, go near each other. And I'm like,
yeah.
It was so much better for them. And I do think it's a lesbian thing. I do think women, I mean, of course, there are those who fucking hate their exes and blah, 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 blah. But I think we put our kids first and their well-being first. That was all I cared about. And when we broke up, I got Sharon an apartment in the building because I wanted to make sure I could see the kids every single day until she finally moved out. But I was never leaving my kids. So, yeah. And what's better than 2 parents who fucking love their kids no matter what? Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah.
It worked out.
So the Time Out New York thing. So take me into just like, so how did you become a couple? Because at this point you're in your 40s. Like you already
I'm in my 40s.
Had this big relationship. Had Elisa had a long-term relationship?
She did, but she's never lived with anyone. So, which is also why we probably don't live together, because she's never lived with anyone. And I spent so much time on the road by myself. Like, we both need our space. But when we're here, we're here in Petite a lot of the year and we're together and it works out. But, she answered that they gave us a Gmail account and she waited like 2 weeks. I put the most ridiculous ad in that I was looking for someone to do my kids' laundry while I snuggle under a troll pattern flannel comforter with a bottle of red wine while I scream at my mother on the phone about her home health aide. And she thought it was so funny, but she waited 2 weeks. She finally wrote to me. She sent me a photo. She had seen 25 Questions for a Jewish Mother, which was my off-Broadway show. Mm-hmm. And I actually was doing it at the time. You know, we met and I was like, oh, this is. Yeah, I knew it right away. She was more like, we saw each other 4 times the first week, and then she didn't call me, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Wait, go back. So what the first date, like, what was the vibe?
Oh, we met at Joe Allen at the bar. She'll describe it as I was late because I had just done a show. And I walked in, she was sitting at the bar. She had a beautiful skirt on. I was like, ooh. And I opened the door to Joe Allen, and at that night, it was February, and I was freezing, and I was wearing my mother's mink coat that she gave me. And she said, the door opens, and this giant woman in a mink coat walks in, and she's like, what the fuck is going on? And I sat next to her, and we laughed, and we talked, and I ended up having to go downtown to do a benefit for battered women. I was doing one of the vagina monologues, and I forced her to come with me, and we just had such a great time. And then, you know, so we saw each other like 4 times that week, and then Monday came and nothing. And I'm calling my friends, and my friend Robin's like, that's normal, Judy. This is how normal people act. I'm like, no. Yeah. She didn't call me for a few days, and then and she tried to break up with me at least twice. You know, she's
I love I had heard you talk about how she called you were in a car together, and she called one of your friends to ask if you were normal.
I did.
Okay, no, what is this story?
Oh, so when we left Joe Allen and we got in the car to go down to do this vagina monologue thing, I said, well, I got to call Robin, and she's one of my closest friends. So I call Robin, I go, listen, this is it. I think she seems really normal. She's like, all right. And then we were on speaker and we were talking. I was like, she's normal, right? And she, you know, it was just the stupidest conversation. And Elisa's like, well, what am I missing? You know, blah, blah, blah. And she was so funny. And then that Sunday, this was a Tuesday, that Sunday, I was hosting this thing with like Mario Cuomo, this thing in New Jersey. It was for marriage equality. I remember Kucinich was there. Cory Booker was there. Oh my God. Yeah. Mario Cuomo was alive. He was there. And I was hosting it. And I said, come with me, because Robin was going to be there. So she met Robin and Robin's wife, Luann. And she said I was so fun. That's when she fell in love with me, because I was so fucking funny during this hosting gig. And then she didn't talk to me right the next day. But yeah, I called Robin from the car. I was like, oh my God, I think this person is normal.
But
and
she's
like
sitting right there.
Yeah, we were all on this. I said, here, talk to her. It was ridiculous. But she was game. Like that was the thing. She was always game. She has the best laugh. She's really funny. She has the most amazing sense of humor. And we fight all the time because we love to argue. But she's like, you love to argue. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's like women fucking argue all the time. It's just ridiculous. There's a process and talking and processing.
Yeah, I like how you talk about you have to relitigate the fight that you had.
Oh, it's constant. And so, but when I hear her laugh, and the fact that she's so fucking funny and she loves to laugh, and we have the same interests. She's a really good tennis player, way better than me. We can't play tennis together because we can play opposite each other, but we can't play together because it's just a shit show. But yeah, and she was so appropriate with the kids, like never overdid it, stayed in her lane. Her family really embraced us. It's great, it's and you want to, no, it's just gonna say you want to grow old with someone who likes to do the same shit that you like to do.
It's interesting how your act for really like the first half of your career for so long was really about your relationship with your mother.
With my mother.
And then when your mom passed away, it did seem like it became more about like the kids. You had more material about the kids because they were being older.
A mother. Yeah. Yeah.
And also about Elisa.
Right. And so it was funny because when my mother died, Joy Behar's like, what are you going to talk about on stage? You're going to lose all your material. And I was like, and I used to say to my mother, Ma, you can't die because I swear I'm going to have no act. But I had started incorporating the kids in there. But my mother was so funny. And mother-child relationships are so universal. And so it didn't matter what your background was. Me talking about my mother and my relationship with my mother, everyone could relate to that. So she died in 2015. So I would say, for the first 30 years of my act, and I can still do my mother jokes because they're still fucking hilarious. And I think about her all the time. I think about her in situations that I have presently, like, oh, if my mother was here, she'd be like blank. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I ended up talking more about being a mom and being and I got a lot more political too, which I think it was just a natural development because I became such an advocate and an activist for equality. And I felt like I had a microphone and I couldn't keep my mouth shut. It's like, because this is what I thought about all the time. Comics have to navigate their life on stage with their life in life. I think sometimes people think I'm too political, but I right now, also with the anti-Semitism, I feel like it's something I think about all the time. And I feel like I want to talk about it and I don't want to sweep it under the rug. And there's so many Jewish comics now who are like, I'm not doing the Jewish material because they turn on me. And it's like, no, you have to do it. You have to be out and proud, just like I was out and proud as a gay, Yeah. It's really, it's a weird time. I've never, Jess, when I remember after October 7th, it was so weird because, you talk about my mother jokes and my Jewish jokes. No matter what, I could go to them and I'd get a laugh. They were safety. And after October 7th, it was the weirdest shift in the, I'm like, are you fucking kidding? And I really was like, this is what my parents were talking about. It was the weirdest response to my tried and true material.
That first HBO comedy special that came out,
my God.
What I remember, I was obsessed with Janeane Garofalo's special, and I was obsessed with your special.
Oh, thank you.
And I remember really taking note of Janine's outfit. Like there was something about it that
that is so interesting because we taped our specials on the same night in San Francisco. And I am a nerd through and through. And I was so excited. I mean, I had been doing stand-up maybe 10, 12 years. It was 1995. And I was like, this is how I thought, oh my God, a network is giving me a half hour. They trust me enough to, And Janeane was too cool for school. I mean, she was like, I still have it. They gave us a watch, a Swiss Army watch, and it said, thanks, JHG from HBO, and to me, it was like the biggest thing. My mother came and she could have given two shits about it, and I was like, this is the most exciting thing in the entire world. And I remember thinking like, she's so cool and I'm such a little fucking nerd. But I talked to her about it and she was like, I think she was drinking then.
Yeah.
And she didn't, she wasn't present, I think, as present, but she was funny and she did shit that no one did. And she broke the rules. And I have so much respect for her. I think she's a really great person.
She still performs all the time in New York, especially around my neighborhood. And
at Eastville. She performed.
Eastville, she performs at this club that's near Union Square, and she did an hour at City Winery. And
love that place.
The control she had over the audience was mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Like you can't take your eyes off her. There is this feeling that anything could happen, that like she could do anything, and she will do anything. She'll jump into the crowd. But it was so interesting to watch how she's the same. It's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
She's just an extension of herself.
Yeah.
And she's true to herself. And, I don't know if you know this. She has no computer. She has no smartphone.
Yeah, I
do know this.
I do know this because
Flip phone.
she's a forever no for this show. She won't do.
Right.
I waited. Let me tell you something about Janeane Garofalo. I asked her because I know she has no email and like whatever.
Right.
I asked her in person after one of the gigs that she did at the Stand right here on 15th.
Right.
And I like gave me a whole pitch in person, and she's like, I just don't. She goes like, I've done so many podcasts. I hate my voice. She's like, I talk too much. I ramble. I don't.
Right.
I'm like, it's my job to make you sound brilliant. Like, don't worry. She's like, It's not you. It's not you. It's me. I'm like, fine. Then the pandemic happens. I wait the entire pandemic for clubs to open up for like everything.
Right.
I'm like, I'm
right.
gonna ask her one more time. I waited the whole pandemic. And she's like, oh yeah, I remember you. She's like, yeah, the podcast. She's like, yeah, I still don't. She's like, so she's on my forever no list. It's her, Fran Lebowitz. These are like my forever no's. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? She's so honest and like not an asshole.
I will love her forever.
I have a lot of respect for her.
It's so funny that you do your show a few times a week at the Post Office Cabaret, and John McDaniel from the Rosie O'Donnell Show.
Yeah.
He has a show. I mean, have the two of you remained friendly? Like, is he a Provincetown person?
No, he just was here this year. I saw him. He came to my show, and he's such a great guy. It's so funny because all those people that we worked together on the road, it was like camp. It's like camp friends, which a lot of Jews can relate to. We had this amazing experience together of creating this phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we all still talk to each other. That was a really fun time.
How did you get that job?
So Henry was just born, and Rosie's like, I want to come over. And I came over, and she wanted to, hold the baby. She loves babies. And then I was friends with Rosie for forever. She's like, you don't want to go on the road with the little baby. Submit some jokes to be a writer. So I submitted a whole shitload of jokes, and I remember I was watching the show and she did one of them, and I was like, I'm going to get an offer. And I got an offer, and I started out, I was just going to go for 13 weeks, but I ended up there. I was there for 2 years. And I started out as a writer, and then we had to have jokes written by 7:30 in the morning. I want to fucking kill myself. So I used to like skim the papers. USA Today always had like weird stories. And I was like, oh, I just read this thing in the USA Today about this kid who's obsessed with vacuum cleaners. And she'd be like, get him. And I ended up being the human interest producer because I really got Rosie's sensibility and the fact that she really can shine with regular people. Mm-hmm. So I did all the kids segments. I also, I would go to the schools in New York and try to, interview kids that we needed for segments. I did this thing over Christmas time where I would get like Subway performers to sing a Christmas carol at the end of the show. It was really a lot. It was a lot of fun, and I got to stay in New York. But I still did stand up. That's the thing about me. I never stopped doing stand-up. When I was on a series, I did, and people still make fun of me. All the older comics are like, oh, you out doing spots, Judy? You doing spots? I never stopped, ever. And when I worked on the Rosie Show, I used to go to Stand Up New York, which was in my neighborhood, and I would do the first spot at 8:00 because I was so fucking tired. I had to get up at like 5 a.m, and I would do like the first spot so that I wouldn't get rusty. Yeah, I never stopped doing stand-up.
And of course, Madonna, your son was a prop baby for
Madonna, for Lourdes. Yeah.
Does it ever come across your YouTube algorithm? Because now over the past like 2 years, they've been uploading like full episodes of the Rosie O'Donnell Show. Does anything ever get fed to you?
No,
on YouTube?
That's interesting. No, why aren't we getting fucking residuals? Writers Guild. Yeah, we did post the Madonna thing, I think, recently, but No, that's I don't know. That's funny.
Final thing I wanted to talk to you about. So speaking of TV shows, so you've been working on
Oh my God.
show.
Since the pandemic. Yeah.
So talk to me about what it's like trying to get a television show made
Oh God.
in Hollywood.
Okay. Well, first of all,
And this is you and Sandra Bernhard.
yeah, we have been writing that. We wrote this thing all through the pandemic, and we created these characters. I mean, I know these characters so well. So does she. And it's, you get input from people in the business, your little group of people, managers, agents, other creatives, and they all have a fucking opinion. And it's like, yep, this is not going to sell. You need this. And it's like, so for over 2 years, we've been changing it and going back and change. And finally, we just were like, all right, we're just going to go back to the original. And, so now we're putting our final touches on it. But the industry's changed. No one's taking pitches now. No one wants this show. And it's like, you don't know what they want until they fucking want it, until they say. And so we decided to stop listening to people. But the thing is that we really worked so hard creating these scenarios and this relationship between these two women that I think, I'm excited about it, but it's been probably, I think 2-3 years we've been working on this.
And do you have anything written aside from the pilot?
We have the pilot, we have a treatment, we have episode, arcs, the arc, we have all the characters written out. Yeah, we've done everything.
Isn't it interesting how, I don't know if it's like a gay show or not, but it's interesting how, then maybe you have a chance. It's interesting how no lesbian show can be made unless it's under the umbrella of the L word.
Jessica.
Yes.
I did an entire show called It's Judy Show, The Judy Show, My Life as a Sitcom at the DR2 Theater, I think in 2012, 13. And it was about how I always thought I was going to be on a series. I mean, I thought I was fucking B. Arthur. I was like, that is what I'm going to end up doing. I'm going to be the B. Arthur of my generation. Mm-hmm. And it talks about throughout my career and how I was addicted to the sitcoms. Like I literally wanted to jump into the TV and live, with the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family and, One Day at a Time and All in the Family and Mary Tyler Moore and like, Welcome Back. Like this is what got me through. And that they were a part of my fucking life. And so in this show, at different parts of my life, I pitch a series. So first it was me and Sharon with our kids and blah, blah, blah. And this was in like the late 90s. And they were like, no one wants to watch a lesbian family, blah, 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 blah. And then we broke up and I was like, we're divorced. And and it's like, no, where's the sex? And then I did it a third time and she's really rich and I'm not, like the truth, and we were constantly rejected. And then at the end of the show, of course, it's like, but, look, I have this, I have that, and maybe I'm not going to sell my own show, blah, 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 blah. But, lesbians are either sex objects or, gym teachers to these fucking people. I think it's starting to change now. I think TV is embracing women's relationships.
Judy, did you watch Abby Jacobson's? She adapted A League of Their Own into a television series.
Yes. I didn't see it. Was it good?
It was fantastic. It had an all-star cast. It was Abby Jacobson, Kate Berland.
Yeah, she's great.
Tons of names. Darcy Carden. Mm-hmm. And it was a gay show, a lesbian show. It was the best thing I had seen that year. Canceled. It was, in fact, it was it was renewed. Amazon was like, okay, we're going to renew it for 4 episodes. And then they reneged on that. They were like, actually, no, forget we said any of that.
Yeah.
And yet a reboot of the L Word can make it to the air because it's based on this existing. Well, it baffles me because A League of Their Own is existing IP, but it seems like
it's not fucking sexual. It's not,
But no, but it was. I mean, of course, it took place in like the 50s. But no, it did have. I mean, Orange is the New Black.
They hate women. Yeah.
And now there's the rumors that like they're going to spin off the L Word again and call it the L Word New York.
Right.
I don't know if we're ever going to watch that on our television screens.
Right.
But it seems like you got to call it the L Word for it to get made.
Yeah. Exactly.
Final thing I want to ask you, and then I'll let you go. This is total change of subject. So you're 6'3", like you've obviously been tall.
I'm 6'1" now.
Oh, really?
Well, I shrunk and I had the 2 knee replacements. Go ahead. Not good.
Okay. So here's my question. And I'm coming to this through the angle, and we've met several times. Like I am like a short woman. Like I'm like 5 feet on like my best day. Like my parents are short. I can't, unless you want to cut my legs off and put pins in them, there's nothing I can do about it. The same way you're tall. And of course, this was the thing that I was teased about growing up. And I mean, even to this day, people, it's so interesting to observe who will say things to me about my height. And it's always and pretty much exclusively women. Never, and I don't know any straight men, but the majority of my friends are gay men, and they fucking love me. They're like, you're adorable, your body. They're all into the way I look. It is women. And I'm wondering, like, what has been your experience from women commenting on your height, either in a positive or a negative way? I don't know. It kind of fucks me up a little bit. Like, are these people just really insecure?
You know what? Women have been objectified their entire lives. And it's such an interesting question because I have been identified. My height has been the thing about me since I was 6 feet at 13. And that's all people saw. That's all people, judged me. When you're big, when you're a woman and you take up this much space and you're loud, it's a whole other ballgame. People think I'm mean or I'm intimidating, which I'm not. But being a woman, the size of a large man, and my experience was hell. It was hell. And I watched my son, one of my sons is 6'8". He's an athlete. His life has been charm that people look at him like, oh my God, look at him, And for me, it was the complete and utter opposite. And I do hear a lot about it from men because they're fucking like, whoa, this is good. And women too, but I didn't realize. I didn't know.
Let me ask you: when you were dating, when you were out there, either like between relationships,
right?
Did you feel uncomfortable dating like a woman, maybe say under 5'5", or like how did you even I don't know.
I didn't even think about it.
You didn't think
I didn't even think about it.
See, I love that. I love that about you because so many women.
But I'm someone who's been identified by the size of their body. I'm not going to do that. And it's funny because when we picked sperm donors, we picked tall sperm donors. Mm-hmm. So because I was like, I think if I was straight, I would marry a really tall guy. But it's the stupidest thing. But yeah, we picked taller because that's my genes. But no, Elisa's what, 5'6"? Sharon, I think, is 5'6", 5'7". Yeah, I've dated, 5'5". Yeah, it's just hard when I'm at a party and I can't fucking hear. But, growing up this tall, it's a whole, I walk in a room, I walk in an elevator, it's like all people do is make comments about my height or do this like check to see if I'm wearing heels or I'm so used to walking in a room and being noticed. And so I was laughed at, and I say this, I was laughed at my whole life. And I made, perhaps part of the reason I'm a comedian is because I want to control the laughter now. I want to be, I'll tell you what you're going to laugh at. And so it is such a big part of who I am, pun intended. And I even have to fight for, first class tickets. I'm like, I don't fit. I have 2 fake knees. I'm all leg and I don't fit. And I'm not fucking sitting in coach and not being able to walk when I get, but it is the thing that I think, you could say I'm Jewish and I'm gay or I'm loud or whatever, but my height has really defined me. And, I can still hear my mother, Judith, stand up straight, and it's hard. It's hard. I remember years and years ago, I spoke to a bunch of tall girls in junior high and high school who were not athletic and and I just was like, they didn't want their mothers there when I was talking to them, which was so great. And I was like, look, you get through high school and then I'm telling you, it's really good. I'm telling you, it'll turn out okay. But it's so hard when you want to just blend in and you can't. You never blend in.
Living life from the polar opposite perspective, there are so many times that I've fantasized, like, what would it be like if I were like, would I have a totally different life if I were like, I don't know, 5'5"?
Nah,
I don't know what it's like. Last night I was at this like really cool like party. Like, it was like a very nice, well done like rooftop thing. And so it's like all women and, everyone's like giant. And I sometimes wonder, like, I don't know, like, would I have had more experience? Would I have had more relationships? I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously, clearly, this is like my therapeutic and like this is my trauma
but
of my life. But I don't know.
I don't think so. And you are who you are because you have a voice. Like, it's not like you're like crawling up and like.
No, totally. I know
have a voice.
It's too loud. No, it's too much.
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, there's so many powerful short women, RBG. I mean, you think about.
Well, my queen, Janeane Garofalo. Look no further.
Right, Janeane. Please. Yeah. Please. No. No.
This has been so fun. I could talk to you all day.
Yes, I love
honestly.
this. I know. I could go on and on and on.
And also, ironically enough, you're coming over to my neck of the woods. You're going to be in Fire Island, but you're going to be in the but you're going to be in the straight part. What's that about?
I know, because I'm doing a benefit for something. I have a lot of straight people come to my show, Jess. I'm going to be in, is it Ocean Grove?
No, Ocean Beach.
Ocean Beach. Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing a show there this Thursday. And then, I'm in Provincetown. This run, I go till September 8th, and then I come back for Women's Week.
I'll be there too for Women's Week because I work close with Betty, the band, Betty.
Oh, I love Betty. Oh, good.
This was great. Thank you.
Oh, I loved it. Thanks for having me, Jess. Get a hold of me when you're here.
Awesome.
I'd love to see you.
Awesome.
I'll look down.